Hello everyone and welcome back to more of the Labyrinth of Grisaia. In the last episode, Asako here was teaching Yuuji some life lessons, and now Yuuji was getting kind of curious as to what Asako actually does for a living, and so she's trying her darndest to explain it to us, and Yuuji's just not getting it. So let's continue on, shall we? The people who make the space shuttles?
いや、NASA じゃなくて、知らんか。まあ、知らんよな。つまりだ。普通の警察官じゃ対処できないような悪いやつを探したり捕まえたりする組織だ。
So you're a police officer?
いや、警察官じゃない。工作員だ。
An agent.
どうにも工作員って言葉はスパイを連想させてイメージが悪いな。つまりエージェントだ。
So what exactly do you do?
だから超法規的活動？
That's not very specific.
面倒なことを聞くなよ。つまり法の目をかいくぐる悪いやつを探したり捕まえたりするんだ。
How is that different from being a police officer?
全然違うんだが、まあ一番の違いは相手だ。警察が相手にするのは犯人、つまり犯罪者だが、我々が相手にするのは敵だ。
What's the difference? They're both people who do evil things, right?
悪いことをしていない敵もいる。
I don't get it.
なあユージよ、そもそも悪とは何だと思う？
Doing bad things is evil. It's simple as that.
では正義とは何だ？正しいことか？
Yeah, that's right.
ではその行いが正しいことだと誰が決める？
My big sister did that for me. Kazuki always had the answer for me whenever I needed one.
おいおい、お前の姉ちゃんが正しいと言えばそれが正義なのか？それにお前の姉ちゃんはもう死んだ。どうすんだお前。おいおい、そんな泣きそうな顔すんなよ、うっとうしい。いいかユージ、正義を決めるのは国民だ。所詮この世は多数決だ。だが多数決や話し合いで解決が得られない場合もあるだろう。話し合いをしている最中にズルをしてくるやつも当然いる。喧嘩になった時止めてくれるのは父親だが。
Okay, I expected a lot more there, but alright.
戦後の日本で父親を担ってくれたサムおじさんだって今は自分の身に降りかかる火の粉を払う仕事が忙しい。てめえのことはてめえでやれ。60年以上も面倒を見てやったんだ。そろそろ自立しろってな。自分たちで親離れできないように仕向けておいて、随分と身勝手な父親もいたもんだろ。
Should never expected anything better.
その通り。だからこそ自分たちの問題を自分たちだけで自己解決できる力が必要とされる。父親の手を煩わせないために子供がズボンの尻ポケットに隠した武器、それが私の仕事だ。
I think I get the idea.
父親に例えたのは逆に良くなかったか？お前結局よく分かってないだろ。
Yeah.
まあいいや。とにかくそれがこの国が持つ第三の目としての諜報機関、そしてこの国の3本目の腕だ。誰もが認めるわけにはいかない。そんないびつな存在こそが私と JB が所属している会社 SARS というわけだ。
Sirs?
日米合同対テロ組織中央調査部諜報2課分室セントラルインテリジェンス&リサーチセカンド、通称で SARS だ。つってもあまり表に出すわけにもいかない組織名だからな。通常は 皮肉を込めて会社と呼んでいる。
Sounds like it's kind of a pain working there.
そうだぞ。そんな面倒な職場だからこそ、社員はみんなパチンコやお馬さんやお船や自転車で息抜きをするんだ。
You guys get ponies? Aw. Lucky. Wait, was that whole long-winded explanation just one big excuse?
うるせえ。お前は私の女房か？玉遊びくらい好きにやらせろ。
Oh. Even after her explanation, I still didn't really know what SIRS was. It would be some time before I learned the actual details. After the old army's Nakano school was dismantled, a new Fuchu-based intelligence agency was created to fill the void, eventually growing into a kind of secret police force under direct ministry control. Later, its headquarters were relocated to Shibuya, a word that's become synonymous with the organization for those who deal within it. If you're just looking for the basic facts, it seems like a respectable enough government organization. But in reality, it's basically a suicide battalion, mostly made up of expendable personnel with skeletons in their closet.
随分と嫌な言い方だけれど、間違ってはいないわね。
Hey, some organizations just aren't pleasant regardless of how you spin the words.
家族なし、未来なし、凄惨な過去は山盛り。刑務所に入れて無駄飯を食べさせるぐらいなら、使い潰すつもりでただ同然でリクルートできる人材をあえて選ぶ。歪んだナイフも直せば使える。刺さって折れても惜しくはない。死んだら死んだで死体の使い道を考える。Asako本人は市ヶ谷での勤務を執行猶予と揶揄して辞めたがっていたけれど、一度首まで浸かれば二度と抜け出せないのが SARS。
It's like a gang of sorts, really.
そこでAsakoは作戦で救出した子供を引き取り、保護観察するという名目で予備役登録をする約束を取り付けたというわけよ。
I'm amazed they let her quit to take care of a kid, honestly.
保護観察対象がヒースオスロの私兵だった子供だというのなら話は別よ。それにあなたももう知っているとは思うけど、あなたを引き取った当時のAsakoはもう肉体的に限界が近かったのよ。少なくとも有力な戦闘隊員として機能するには対応限界に近かった。だからAsakoは自分の後継者たるあなたを育てることにした。
We've been over this before, but you've got that wrong. I chose to see Asako of my own free will.
当時のあなたに他の選択肢を用意できなかった時点で強制したのも同じことよ。
I did have a choice. Somehow or other, you managed to prepare me for a perfectly clean identity, with all the paperwork. I'm the one who rejected that future you offered me, and I still don't regret it, not even now.
へえ。
Well, I know I've caused you plenty of trouble, and I do feel bad about it.
へえ。
Don't look at me like that. I spent my first paycheck to buy you a watch, didn't I?
ああ、そういうこと言っちゃうのね。つまり何？あなたから見た私って高いものを買い与えておけば自分は大事にされてると勘違いする安い女なのね。
It's not like that. You were happy, weren't you?
そりゃあ、まあね。
I had been told it was a piece of trash for most of my life, but, I found a job I could do, and I earned money doing it. The cash itself didn't mean much to me, so I decided to use it and buy you a present. Something that would last, I didn't really think about my reasons at the time, but I think I wanted someone to have something to remember me by, since I wasn't going to leave much behind else if I die.
それがどうして私なのよ。
Asako wasn't the sort to appreciate presents for one thing, and for another, I was pretty certain you'd outlive me.
そんなのわからないじゃない。デスク組の私だって絶対に安全ってわけじゃないわ。
No, you're safe. I wouldn't let anything happen to you. As long as I'm alive, you're safe, JP. You have my word.
そっか。
What's so funny?
いや、ごめん。もうずっと昔に、まだ私と朝子が養護施設にいた頃、全く同じことを朝子に言われたのを思い出したわ。施設の大人ですら信用できなかったあの当時、私は朝子だけを信じていた。そっか、朝子にしろあなたにしろ、なんで私こんな面倒なやつを真面目に面倒見てるんだろうって思ってたけど、そういうことか。
You've done a lot for me, and that's why, as long as I can protect you, I don't regret becoming the person I am today.
やばい。私今、この子にプロポーズされたら絶対に断れない。
Oh, JP. You alright there?
まあ、ないけどね、そんなこと。
Huh?
で、どこまで話したっけ？
Well, we were up to the point where Asako told me about her job. It wasn't as if Asako was particularly secretive in the first place, but after that conversation about her job, she stopped hiding things from me entirely. One morning, she actually began to do maintenance on her rifle right in front of me, while puffing away at a cigarette, no less. You smoke while you're doing maintenance on your gun?
こりゃお前あれよ。武士が刀のメンテをするときに加える返しみたいなもんだ。ベラベラ喋って大事な武器に唾を飛ばして錆びさせないようにするために加えてんだ。
You seem to be talking anyway.
酒を飲みながらやってない分まだマシだろ？
I guess that's true. Anyway, I'm a little surprised you use such a beat-up old rifle.
私はアメリカで仕事をしていた当時からずっとこれだ。設計は古いが信頼性は高い。いいかユージ、覚えておけ。戦場での新兵器なんざゴミだ。実績があって使い慣れた武器が一番いい。この M40A1 ってやつはマリンコなら誰もが一度は経験する銃だ。言ってみりゃフル女房が一番ってことだ。わかるか？
Not in the slightest.
お前、銃は撃ったことあるのか？
Yeah, they taught me the basics at Oslo's school. For what they're
じゃあ
worth.
撃ってみるか。
Asako was probably only half serious. I think it was just another one of her whims. I didn't give it too much thought myself either. I suppose it seemed like another form of recreation. A way to kill some time, nothing more. Oslo didn't like guns very much, so they've never been a major focus of my education. But I did remember that, based on my limited experience, I wasn't half bad when it comes to sharpshooting.
よーし。標的は前方300。岩場に潜んだ三兵。見えるか？
300. With training of this sort in such a heavily forested area, 100 meters would be standard distance. And for newcomers with limited experience, you'd almost start off at 25. 300 was beyond absurd. Felt like she set this up for me to play around, assuming I couldn't hit the target either way. That condescending attitude of her kind of ticked me off, 300 ahead isn't specific enough. Give me an azimuth. Azimuth? Azimuth? Word of the day there, folks. Raising an eyebrow, Asako looked down at the watch on her left wrist and checked the bearing of my target.
ベクター045高度158気圧738気温32 射距離のレーザーもいるか？
You have one?
ゴルフ用でよければな。
I'll pass. With due north as my 0 point, I turned the barrel 45 degrees clockwise. Since the target was approximately 300 meters away, I'd only be moving the gun a few centimeters from this point. Searching for the rocky area where I'd find my target with my left eye, I soon located it and immediately pushed my right eye to the scope. A few careful twists of the zoom ring brought my target into focus. A beer can Asako had emptied not long ago, perched demurely on top of a huge boulder. To the naked eye, it was a nearly imperceptible speck, but through the scope I could read the brand name printed on its side. I've got it.
そうか。じゃあ自分のタイミングで撃ってみろ。
Okay, one shot, for starters. The instant I brought my finger to the trigger, I pulled my eye away from the scope. As I applied pressure with my entire right hand, the trigger scraped against the sear, releasing the hammer at the let-off point. The bullet that burst out of the rifle's barrel flew well wide off the mark. I saw a small cloud of dust rise where it landed, short of the target and slightly to the right.
ブブー外れ。
Peering through a spotting scope, Asako cackled at my failure. I found myself pouting slightly. This thing isn't properly aligned.
銃に文句をつける前にてめえでどうにかしようって根性を見せろよ。
I'll get it next time.
お、やってみろ。当たったら何か景品をやるぞ。
Whew. Squeezing my eyes tightly shut to stretch the muscles that supported my eyeballs. I breathed deeply in and out, in and out. Focusing on the steady beating of my heart, careful not to disrupt its rhythm, I pressed my eye to the scope once more. The instant my eye settled against the rubber cup, I could feel my soul leave my body and soar to the target 300 meters ahead of me. A quiet wind was blowing. As I lay there, feeling it against my skin, the air seemed to take on tinges of color. Before long, I could see its flow, its eddies. It was as if the can was right in front of me, inches from my nose. All I had to do was move my hand, and I could brush it with my fingers. No need to hit my target. I'd just touch it. The bullet in that rifle's barrel was an extension of my fingers. And I wasn't going to touch that empty beer can. All I had to do was calmly extend my hand. After all, it was sitting right in front of me. Easy enough. With a reflexive twitch of my fingertip, I found the trigger, then gently squeezed it once more. There was no need for prayers. As soon as I touched that trigger, I knew. This one was a hit. Hit. Elimination of the target verified. Although I'd lined up the shot more on instinct than anything else, it seemed to have landed dead center. Peering through the scope, I watched the beer can fly off the boulder and out of sight.
おお、いいじゃないか。そのまま続けてみな。
What's my prize?
そうだな。まあ、そのうちおもちゃを買ってやる。次の標的は右7度、距離240だ。右肩用意、左肩用意、射撃用意。
I hadn't fired a gun in quite some time. Definitely wasn't an unpleasant feeling. The sound and feedback didn't really excite me either. If anything, I felt calmer with every shot. Every ripple of emotion in my mind slowly faded away, leaving it as tranquil as a pool of still water. Skilled snipers sometimes come to think of their rifle as a part of their own bodies, but for me it was kind of the opposite. Rather than the gun becoming a part of me, it felt like I was becoming a part of the gun. I was just one piece of a cold metal machine, a simple mechanism that aimed a rifle and pulled the trigger. The simplicity of it was addictive. The difference between a hit and a miss felt surprisingly in its clarity. After that day, I began to carry Asako's rifle with me on my daily morning run. Let's go, John. A gun against my shoulder, a dog at my side, I ran around the wooded mountain. I remember Asako laughing and saying that I looked like some sort of frontiersman. Of course, this was all just a game. In the middle of my run, I stopped to give John her breakfast. And once she was finished, I hugged the hung the empty can of dog food from a tree with a string. After that, I ran a decent distance away, found what felt like an appropriate point, and immediately assumed a prone firing position there. Ready, John? I'm gonna fire. Heeding my warning, my dog brought her front legs together and lowered herself flat to the ground. Bringing the empty dog food can into my crosshairs as it swayed in the breeze, I quietly studied my breathing. When the gunshot finally rang out, John reacted with a visible flinch. Aw. Alright. I made it into a sort of fortune-telling game. When my shot landed on target, that meant I'd have a lucky day. One shot every morning. I kept it up for quite a while, actually. After a few days, I started varying my targets and experimenting with different distances, but found myself getting a little bored. Then I hit on the idea of coming up with a more troublesome challenges. I take off the scope and line up my shot using only instinct in my naked eyes, or send a can floating down a stream and try to pick it off in motion, or try to shoot a static object while running with the rifle against my shoulder. And it didn't matter if it was raining or windy, I stuck to the routine. One day, one shot, one hit. My life on the mountain wasn't exactly eventful. This game had become my only real source of amusement. That and my dog. Before too long, Asako made good on her promise and bought me a toy. A gun, probably.
まったくおめえはよ、人の鉄砲で毎日楽しそうに遊びやがって。お前が勝手にいじると、お前の癖がついて仕方がねえじゃねえか。
I'm servicing after every shot, you know.
だからお前の癖がつくんじゃねえか。そこで、お前に新しいおもちゃを買ってやった。開けてみな。
Asako jerked her chin to indicate a sizable PP resin case sitting imposingly on top of the table.
ケースのロックナンバーは9029だ。
Oh, 9029. That's a familiar number, is it not? I spun the dials as Asako told me to, released the push lock, and gingerly opened the lid of the case. Inside, I found what looked like a brand new sniper rifle, sitting snugly in a bed of shock-absorbing foam. What's this?
M24SWS。お前のだ。好きに使え。
Sitting nestled in its case, it didn't look particularly different from Asako's M40A1, but when I picked it up in my hands, I found it noticeably lighter than the rifle I'd been using so far. On closer inspection, I found it also had a long bolt handle designed to provide highly reliable feeding, and a modified fluted barrel that both reduced the gun's weight and would help it stay cooler while firing.
構えてボルト引いてみな。
As instructed, I took an upright firing stance, brought the stock to my shoulder, and pulled the handle.
違いがわかるか？
Considering how light this thing is, it's well put together. It feels really solid.
ケブラーコンのファイバーストックだ。それだけで随分違う。
Seems like there's a lot of fancy features too. Wasn't this expensive?
お前まだまだへったくそだからな。下手くそは道具の性能に助けてもらうのが当たり前だ。工房筆を選ばずなんて言葉もあるけどな。そういうのはいい道具を極めてから初めて理解できるもんだ。初心者こそ道具にかける金をケチっちゃダメなんだよ。
I guess I understand what you mean, but considering I was just going to use it for my daily can shooting game, this really seemed like a bit much.
たった一つの道でいい。極めてみろ。一つの道を極めるためには様々なことを学ぶ必要がある。そして必要だからと学ぶうちにいつの間にか自分に向いた学び方を覚える。たとえそれがどんな道であろうと、その道を極めた人間というのは他の何をやるにしても自分の得意分野に置き換えて物事の要領を得る。そういうやつは何をやらせても卒がない。わかるか？
Yes, sort of.
まあ今はなんとなくでいい。何年かすりゃお前にも理解できる時が必ず来る。
If you say so.
何も考えずにそれができるやつが天才。考えた上で努力を惜しまないやつもまた天才になれる。時間はかかるが諦めないことだ。嘘でもはったりでもいい。とにかく俺はできるんだと自分を信じて諦めなければ数年後には必ず なりたかった自分になれる。これはマジだ。
You know, you say some pretty good stuff sometimes, Asako. Can I call you master?
いいのか、うかつにそんなこと言って。私の教えは厳しいぞ。
As long as you try not to actually kill me. Kusakabe Asako is definitely an important part of my life, no doubt, but it's surprisingly difficult to define the exact role she played in it. I mean, it'd be easy to use the word guardian, but really, she was so much more than that. I don't think she ever was a mother or a big sister to me, I mean, much less a father. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if I had to pick one word, I'd say she was my master.
おい、見ろ、ユージ。JB に頼んで、経済産業省届け出済みの納豆弾を250発ももらったぞ。こいつで狩りに行くぞ。準備しろ。
Hunting trip. What?
はあ、じゃねえよ。狩りだ、狩り。鹿狩りだ。泊まりになるぞ。テントと寝袋の用意をしろ。
Oh, okay. The moment an idea popped into Asako's head, she sprang right into action, often dragging me along in her wake. But even so, I can't say I dislike spending time with the woman. Alrighty, well, we're going on a little hunting trip with Asako. I wonder how it's going to turn out, guys. Well, we're going to find out in the next episode of the Labyrinth of Grisaia. And if you liked the video, make sure to like the video. And if you want to see more, well, subscribe to me and see more of this and other games. So, take it easy, guys. Have a good day.